Kunal, founder of Freecharge, has coined some of his own phrases that at least I have chuckled and laughed about forever. And Alok, who joined us in our Freecharge journey a little over a year ago, and has his own style, etc. Today, what we wanted to do was we wanted to actually chat a little about, what goes on in companies. And in Freecharge, we have a very interesting situation where Kunal was earlier the founder and CEO, and then Alok joined us later as CEO. Kunal has, in the last 1 year that I have observed him, he has been more charged and working longer hours than ever, and been completely on fire, and he hasn't even had a title. And we had an email dialogue at one point saying, hey, what should my title be? But then he never cared. And I thought that was just extraordinary. And so I thought we'll share a little bit today on what happened here, how this happens, and if this happens. This is somewhat of a taboo topic sometimes, where people say, hey, is a new CEO coming in, is this a good thing, bad thing? And we thought we'll have a very honest and candid chat, and what has worked for us and what has not worked for us, etc. We thought it'd be interesting for everyone to hear. So with that, I will hand over to Kunal to tell us a little about his early years and journey of Freecharge, and sort of the early conversations, and I'll come to Alok, and then I'll chip in myself. So Kunal, why don't you give us some context on Freecharge in the early years?
Sure. How many of you use Freecharge over here? All right, the rest of you should start using it. So 4 years ago, started Freecharge, just August 2010, and I don't think we had an intention to even call it anywhere close to mobile commerce or anything around that. It was supposed to be a marketing solution which allowed, made a way for Recharge to become free by giving equal value coupons. It was interesting enough for me to just pursue that, because I just thought there is this product that sells so much. If it can become free, more people will come to our platform and it will be great. And I remember we were chased by multiple VCs at one point of time. We were doing 15,000 transactions a day that time, early days. And I remember I had only one company that I knew public numbers of, that was IRCTC. And that was doing 3-4 lakh transactions a day. And I remember I would not attend these VC calls because I would be embarrassed to say we do 15,000 transactions a day. But I did not know we were kind of ahead of most companies in terms of transactions per day. And I remember going to meet Shailendra. I avoided 4 emails and 2 calls from Sequoia as well. Not because I didn't want to meet them. I thought it was too small to go and talk about it. And I remember him asking me, so Kunal, you do how many transactions? I said 15,000. He's like, okay, per month. And I'm like, shit, I need to look at my sheet again. And I popped up my laptop and I was like, no, it's per day. And I think I remember those days, and I was also asked by Shailendra, so what's your CAC? And I tried to act smart, and I'm like, tried to deflect the question in some other manner, and I did not know what was customer acquisition cost, because we had grown without spending a single dollar at that point of time. So it's interesting. I don't have any tech background. I am actually a philosophy graduate with minor in psychology. I had no intention to be called a tech entrepreneur. I think we need to be all consumer entrepreneurs. I think that's what I was doing. The journey was interesting. We tried to pull off a company out of Bombay. Anybody who's from Bombay, get out of Bombay. Okay? It's not going to happen. There is no talent over there. And we tried to pull it off over there for some time. We moved a year and a half. All the Bombay entrepreneurs are laughing, right? Yeah. So we were there for the early year, 2 years, and tried to do things. We are the only company which is born out of a true Indian idea that has been copied by other Indian companies. So we're very proud of that. And we kind of have a history where we could not scale. That's the third thing that Dheeraj talked about. We had the art and science in place, and scale was missing. I wish I had met him before. He's now an investor in Freecharge. We just decided to move to Bangalore, and that's when I decided that we need to get great talent to run the show and build something massive. So for me, thanks to philosophy, I love being detached to things, but being very, very attached to things. With the not ego behind it or attachment behind it. There are at least once a week I tell Shailendra that it doesn't matter, Shailendra, even if it turns to 0, we have to do this, we have to win, we have to keep moving forward. So I don't know if he believed it when I said it earlier, but now he probably knows that I mean it, that it doesn't matter, we have to succeed at any cost, it doesn't matter what happens to Kunal per se. Right? So that's been the thing, and I remember reaching out to Alok and telling him, why don't you come and lead the company? And I remember he had a stone face for like 15 minutes. Like, I'm not sure if he believed what I was saying or not, but it was quite interesting. We should probably talk about it.
So Kunal, before Alok jumps in, talk about what you did to once we all agreed that, and actually I'll just add a little bit of context. I think the important thing for us was we were all partners in the journey of Freecharge, and I think we were lucky that we had alignment that we should put the interest of Freecharge first, and it was not about any individual. And whatever it needed to be done. And one thing that, at least we learned over the years, when we saw, for example, Sanjeev Bikhchandani and Hitesh Oberoi at InfoEdge, is that when you start companies, you don't need to have all co-founders there on day one. Why wouldn't you allow co-founders to come and join you later on, or people who are pretty much like founders? If you can find special individuals, the best gift you can give to yourself is to be open-minded and say, hey, come join my journey and help me make it bigger and more successful. And so really when we started having these conversations, we said, why wouldn't we just focus on that? Why don't we just go get somebody who can really help us and be like a co-founder to us? It doesn't matter what title they have. They can be president, COO, CEO, this or that, who cares? And I think that just thought process resonated with Kunal and Sandeep, his other co-founder, and me, and that's how this, call it, alignment began, saying, let's practically go recruit ourselves like another co-founder who will be a senior person in the firm and who will move the needle, help us move the needle. So I think once we got that, and it's what Kunal said is that founders, for them to be attached and detached is actually very, very hard to do. And I've not seen it done frequently. And like you heard on the earlier panel, it's very emotional to be a founder. So it's very, very, very hard to be detached. But kudos to Kunal for him actually demonstrating that, and Sandeep and so on. And Kunal, talk about what you did to get Alok.
I think I convinced him for a long time. I still remember when he was still in his previous assignment, I was like, bus ticket kitna bechoge? There is much bigger market to go after, and I still remember telling him that there is an opportunity to create something really, really massive. I still remember when we were having conversations around this particular role, I think Alok is the guy who counts the hours, so he counted I spent 70 hours with him, convincing him in different meetings. Some were 3-hour meetings, some were 15-minute meetings at different places. I actually ran him through the board deck that we had presented in the board meeting to keep full transparency on things. And I think trust is a very powerful thing, right? I think what happens is, my belief that, it's quite funny, this country has cash on delivery because we have trust deficit, right? And I think all economic progress stops when trust does not exist. So if you have that deep-rooted trust as your default behavior and only go to mistrust when something goes wrong, I think things go a lot better. India is a country where we get a restaurant mein bill, we check it line by line to make sure that we've been stolen money or not. I think it stops progress. So I think for me, it was very important to kind of openly tell him everything. He could have picked up any role. He walked out of Redbus with a successful exit and now come with Google's pedigree, and here's this guy who's, I'm not even an engineer, trying to tell him about all these fancy things around what can be done around this particular opportunity, which has no comp anywhere in the world. Like, there is nothing like Freecharge anywhere in the world, and I'm trying to still tell him how powerful this is. So it was a lot of hours, but hours where he kind of, Alok has this great thing where he says he will take all the time to come to that conclusion, but once he's in, he goes all in. right? So that's great.
So I'll add one thing that Kunal is probably too embarrassed to say himself, but without telling me, him and Sandeep committed some of their equity to Alok. And that was just beyond idealistic. That was just unbelievable. That they were so committed themselves, and this was not a third party telling them what to do. And they were so convinced about Alok that they didn't even ask me. And they said, hey, we'll just give some of it from our own side. And I wish more entrepreneurs in India did that. When it is time to demonstrate that you really care about something and that you're willing to do that for other team members and so on and so forth. And I've been investing in India now for 9 years. I think that's probably the only time I can recollect that happened. And if Kunal and Sandeep had said to me, hey, let's just share in a bigger grant, I would have said yes. But they didn't even come to me. And I thought that was just completely extraordinary. So Alok, what is going on in your mind?
So in my case, I spent 5 years at Google, and the whole idea at Google was that it's like a paid sort of a university at that point of time, where in Google you pretty much learn about the deep-rooted concepts about so many different things. So it's like a paid university degree kind of a thing. And then I came to Redbus. We were on a great track, and we had probably India's best startup team at that point of time. And pretty much like within few months of after building that kind of a team, we had an exit. Exit was phenomenal, and then I said, okay, now it's time to do something from scratch. At that point of time, I was thinking about some new interesting ideas around the marketing space, around some kind of offline, online, those kind of spaces. And I was talking to this guy on 12th Main, Indiranagar, Costa Coffee, and I said, hey, you know what, you've been in this related space, and these are the ideas that I'm exploring, and I'm planning to go and do a startup in this space. And the response was a bit shocking to me. I never expected that response. He said, man, I'm having goosebumps, and here is a consumer base called Freecharge. We've got 4 million consumers at that point of time. Why don't you take these consumers and do what you were talking about? And the discussion sort of started off by me just bouncing off ideas to a friend, more to sort of hear the thought process, get a critique, and those kind of things. And then the counter offer back was, take my users and do what you want to do. So it took quite a bit of time to understand the merit, sort of the motivations, the genuineness of this whole thing. And we spent a lot of time together understanding will it work, will it not work? And to be very frank, we have very, very different kind of personalities. And anybody who talks to two of us for 5 minutes each will very clearly recognize that part. But that's probably also a very good thing in the end, because we will fight and then we'll all end up being in a good spot overall, because if we are making a mistake, then put together between two of us, we'll all correct. And the other thing that goes on well is that, hey, we end up debating all our differences or anything in a closed door meeting. Hey, this is what the situation is, these are the circumstances which are playing a factor here, and how do we find a solution? And I don't think there has been a time when we never came out of a room without a solution kind of a thing. So it took me a lot of time to, first of all, get convinced that, that there is a genuine sort of motivation from the other side, from a founder, to actually let somebody run the company just like that. And that's where it took time to build the conviction. And once there was a conviction, then we came on board. And today, actually, I can make a claim that we are probably the best startup team in the country with us at this point of time.
So double click on that, Alok. What has happened since the time you joined? And obviously, some of the foundation probably got laid even in the months leading up. But since you joined, maybe give a quick summary of what has happened since. And Kunal, you should chip in as well.
Sure. So in terms of summary, of course, one of the ways to talk about these summaries is through the metric. But before I get to the metric part, let me share two other sort of things which I'm really personally very, very proud of. We have assembled a great team. And that great team has joined people. They are working with us. We are in the same boat. We are in the same journey together. So the team that we have built together is on trust. The team that we have built together is riding the same boat or the ship, where there's a lot of trust that, hey, we are all in it together. If a great thing happens, we'll all get something out of that. If nothing happens, then we'll all get out with a great sort of learning. So that trust is what is creating a huge amount of cohesiveness within the team, and that is something which I'm truly, truly proud of. The second thing that we have been able to establish is a great transparent culture. Everything from board deck to metric to number to growth numbers are all known to everyone. And that has again created a huge amount of pace of execution within the company. And more in terms of the tactical numbers, yes, we have grown to 5 million app downloads. We have grown 7x in terms of the, or 8x in terms of the transaction volumes. We are doing one of the largest number of transactions in the country. We are doing 80% of transactions on mobile now, compared to 5% just like 10, 11 months back. So a lot of those great things have happened, but a lot of those great things have happened because a great sort of people have come together with a lot of trust and transparency playing a key sort of foundational element.
I think for me, what I can see is if a team has all of the team has one intent and the right intent, the differences melt through data, right? Discussions. We are probably one of the companies that is operating more on chat rooms than emails and in-person meetings. It's quite funny. We have these different hangout rooms where different projects run, and we have our television campaign that was launched through a chat room on WhatsApp, right? So that's how we have been doing things, and I think that is possible when everybody fully trusts the other person's intention on any feedback given or any point over there. Number two, I think for me personally, when I see before and after effect of Alok, what I see is that when there is this team that gets created, it attracts more people to wanting to join the ecosystem and be in this journey, and it does not matter what the outcome is. The outcome will be great, everybody knows that, because growth is a big drug, right? It keeps people totally high. And when you create that kind of magnetic force where people are just wanting to participate, spend long hours, it's very normal. Dheeraj talked about life-work balance. I think we are a perfect harmony. People are calling in from vacation. We have a conference call happening at 2 a.m. to discuss a campaign and stuff like that. It's only possible when you allow that flexibility for other people to just be delivering that stuff. And ownership is one thing, and through trust. I think one thing I have noticed is that when you open the trust thing and just make it super transparent, automatically everybody feels ownership. And we share every metric with everyone. Our customer care executive knows how many transactions we had yesterday and how many failures we had yesterday, right? When you do that, everybody has natural ownership. I think in India, because of the trust deficit problem, right, we have this trouble to share things. I mean, Alok does this amazing thing. After the board meeting, next day, all the key team members go through the board deck together, right? And it's not always pretty. There are some ugly stuff. We talk about that and discuss that, this was not appreciated in the board meeting, and we spend more time on this than this. And I think people take that learning. We don't need to tell them anymore, hey guys, we need to fix this or do this. I think that's big cultural thing that happens when you just make trust and transparency take over.
Yeah, no, thank you. And talk a little about what we have. So, obviously we need to demonstrate, right, that we will walk the talk, right, when it comes to things like trust and transparency. You guys want to touch upon the ESOP philosophy that we employ?
So, I remember we were just forming our ESOP policy when Alok walked in. I said, hey Alok, here's the best project. Why don't you define your own ESOP policy? And take the lead on getting the draft agreement for everybody in the team. And because you are the one who's also coming on ESOP, why don't you take the lead and ensure that it is absolutely fair, transparent, and genuine. I think he took over the project. I still don't know what the ESOP terms are, because I just say
No, but like just philosophically.
So by the way, yeah, our ESOP document is still kind of open. Anybody can come and critique the ESOP document and say, hey, this is how employees are not being taken care of. And we'll again do a discussion, and we are open to modifying things. So the whole philosophy is that 100% of 0 is 0. So if in the end nothing happens positively, then what's the point of doing all of this fight? What's the point of saving 1% here, 1% there, and all of these kind of things? Let's try to create something big, something really, really big, and then share and eat all of us.
Yeah, so I'll just add, I think Freecharge has one of the most generous ESOP policies in terms of just wanting to make sure every core team member who joins has enough economic incentive, as the company scales up. And, I have the benefit of seeing many different ESOP plans and policies, and it's terrific that culturally, we want many people to win, and we want them to be, bought in through things like ESOP. Now, this is, easier said than done, but we constantly challenge ourselves when we look at, if we find an incredible candidate, we will break all rules. We are willing to, change convention and say, oh, X position comes for 1% or whatever, and break all rules and say, let's get them on the team.
Yeah. I think Dheeraj made that point in previous chat, saying that there has to be this love marriage, and love is the thing. I think the real love means just kind of contradicting to what he's saying. The love should be about being successful, not to the idea, not to my idea, not to what I think should be done and what others should be thinking. I think when you have this crazy love for being successful or winning, I think everything falls in place. But the moment you say, oh, it has to be my way and not data-driven, right? There are constant means, like Alok talked about, our styles are totally different, right? Absolutely different. In fact, it's amazing how we actually managed to even have a conversation, right? But the thing that we agree upon is that data will win. And we get into an experimentation mode, and then there are no biases that I said so and you said so. And that's great for a company. I think that culture goes now all the way to the lowest denominator in the thing. Even our customer care team is now empowered to make a thing like I remember an email coming from our customer care, like the amount of crashes are just too many. Like we get so many complaints for that, and like we don't take offense to that. Like, no, yeah, you should be saying that. So I think that key thing and about ESOP culture is about making everybody have the love to win, right? And when they feel that, really feel that, things magically happen.
Any other things you guys think we should share about the journey of bringing Alok on board and sort of rethinking about our org structure and so on and so forth, and this dynamic things we haven't covered?
I would just say that founders should just wish for their company to be extremely successful. Doesn't matter if they are not the one who are leading it, right? It doesn't matter. The company is bigger than the self, and that should always be the case. No one should kind of feel that, treat it like your son versus your wife. There's a difference, okay? You let the son or the daughter go and let somebody else do the training and then move forward. I think when you're in the wife mode, you're like, oh, that's just mine, and I will define how it should be done. It's not right to have that culture. Second thing is about, I'm repeating myself, but trust. I think there's a magical power in trust, right? It's like that bungee jump that you'll enjoy, but first take that jump, right? But tie the rope to the shoes, okay? So just be careful about that.
My point will be to build a huge amount of trust. It's not about one person bringing the other person. It's about building a team on the basis of trust, on the basis of fairness. Because success or failure is not known, and if it is failure, you'll need the same sort of people in future to rebuild the teams and redo things. And if you break trust, people will never come back with you. People will never remain with you. So at the end of the day, always sort of build teams on the basis of trust.
Yeah, I'll just add one more thing. At least what I observed in the Freecharge journey as this happened, there's just an incredible sense of perseverance. And this happens in many companies, but the level of commitment here is off the charts. I don't know how many times the three of us will exchange WhatsApp like beyond midnight, probably 3-4 times a week. We have a WhatsApp, Freecharge board group, which gets messages all the time. And I wake up and I know there'll be a message every morning from one of the team members, and that's because there's just a very, very intense commitment. And that I think that has helped everyone to sort of be able to put themselves aside. I think it's based on my experience, and this is best exemplified in what Kunal did and Alok has done, when you work for a higher purpose, and the purpose is not a commercial purpose, the purpose is not about what's in it for me, and the purpose is, I just really want to do the right thing. I want this idea to reach its fullest potential, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. These traditionally difficult things of being able to bring a CEO in a company and being able to delegate to others and so on and so forth. Even for CEOs and who are founder CEOs, it's a real big learning journey to actually let other people do even parts of their job, let alone do a large part of their job, as CEO, and to get let go of the title. But it only happens when people get aligned around and everybody commits to a higher purpose. And I think this is one very nice example where we saw it in our portfolio. And in different ways it can manifest in the company, and in different ways it can manifest in other companies. Not every company will have the same manifestation that a CEO joins, but the manifestation can happen in other forms. But what leads to this incredibly strong culture and the ability to grow into an enduring organization and not individual-centric organization is when enough people around the table can commit themselves to a higher purpose and put economics aside, put commercial interests aside, put really your own selfish agenda aside, and say, hey, we are partners in a journey, and let's commit to doing what it takes. And from my standpoint, it's a privilege to watch this pan out. In India, because in India the traditional approach is much more that, hey, I'm the founder, I'll be the CEO, I'll be the chairman, and so on and so forth. We see lots of entrepreneurs who have very small companies. It'll say, founder, president, chairman, and CEO. And the point is made even if you said I'm the CEO. But that's one, call it mindset, where you see lots of those extra titles. And then there's a second mindset where you're much more focused on the large picture. And Dheeraj was here earlier. I don't know what his bio on his website said. Lots of people write long bios. His bio said, whatever, founder and CEO focused on building Mu Sigma. That's all it said. And that's another organization that has that ability to be attached to a higher purpose. So here's one budding company that is demonstrating that, and so we thought we'll share our story with you today, and at least the stuff that we have gotten a chance to see. Should we take questions, or we're good? Okay, we're running late and all that. Thank you all very much for joining us. Appreciate it.